Santa's Claus, here comes Santa's Claus, right down Santa's Claus lane. All of the boys and the girls, they're scared of Santa. Russell, why does Santa has claws? He has money. He has all the toys in the world. Hire somebody to cut your fingernails because the Santa's Claus.
Oh, gosh, dude. I don't know why Santa has claws. I also don't know why we're singing again.
We're singing because today we are doing Holly Jolly Secrets, the Adventure Time Christmas special that we are recording in the middle of September.
Part 1 and 2. And, to be fair, it's really not even that much of a Christmas special. So I feel fine about doing it.
Yeah, it feels like they kind of, we just saw and did the Halloween specials like a couple of weeks ago. So you can kind of see how this season is progressing. They're fitting in with all of those cool Cartoon Network like time special slots that we all love. And this is the Christmas one. So
yeah, this definitely feels like someone higher up was like, hey, we need y'all to have a Christmas special. Can you make it work with what you already had in mind for the season? And they're just like, yeah, I think we could do that. We'll throw Christmas sweaters in there at some point. We'll throw a snowman at some point, Like,
yeah, well, it's not part hard.
One, dude, part 1, if I didn't know the title and the title card or the, pre-show screen that pops up that says this is the Holly Jolly Secrets Part 1, I would have no idea that this was a Christmas special. Part 1. Part 2, you start to get a little bit of like, hot cocoa and candies.
The vibes.
Yeah.
Well,
but part 1 is so subtle.
I think it was a great way that they did it, though, as much as like it's easy to rip on it. And the fact that like Christmas would not hypothetically exist in the universe of Ooh. So they did have that like freedom to kind of go about it however they really wanted to. And I thought it was good. Like it ends with like, hey, this, it's kind of cheesy, but like once a year we get together and we watch videos. And I was like, okay, it works well without being.
Even then, though, dude, the Shelby thing, Shelby, the worm narrating, like the worm that lives in Jake's viola, narrating the fact that, oh, this is a thing, this is a tradition that we have now, is just so random to me. I'm like, what? Where did that come from? Like, where did we get a tradition where everybody's there? PB's there. The royal or the old tart toter is on the ceiling looking like a creep. Like,
yeah, apparently that was a callback from the Train Spotting movie where there's like a monster on the ceiling. It turned its head like 180 degrees.
Dude, I mean, in that scene, we're hopping way into this, but Phil is my most punchable character. He sucked at the end there. Corner. Someone needs to punch that dude. He's got like a lock on his underwear. I was like, dude, what is happening? And then this punchable character.
They always make fun of Phil. He's one of the creators of the show. So I think it was like, he was in, last time we saw Phil, not just the Phil face, but Phil was in Wizard Battle, he was in the stands. Yeah.
Yeah. What is this Punch Bowl character that we got right at the end there? I'm not familiar with this.
What do you mean punchable character at the end?
No, Punch Bowl.
Oh, Punch Bowl. Oh, yeah. We got the old crazy Punch Bowl. Well, we do see the Punch Bowl is in the first episode that is Slumber Party Panic. So it's kind of a callback at this point in the show to Slumber Party Panic that it was. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the Punch Bowl does come in later in the show. So no spoilers.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Yeah, that was a great moment. I did read that was like the first time that we have all of the main Adventure Time characters in a room together, even though Marcy is outside, which is a throwback to, I guess, the first episode that we
Evicted.
Find.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Marcy kind of like creeping as a vampire does, but
yeah. Well, I'm glad that they bring in all the characters because, we've talked about canon a lot in the show. So it's like, we do have all of our what are now A-list characters. So like Tree Trunks, Mr. Pig, which I'm glad this is the second appearance of Mr. Pig. I told you he'd be coming back.
With Tree Trunks, you're right.
Tree Trunks.
You told me that they get into some sort of a relationship type thing later on. Yeah, I'm not liking that.
You see they're together in the Punch Bowl and PB and BMO and Shelby and that guy, the other guy.
The other guy.
Again, I think I would say Shelby does not give my lovely of the episode, but Shelby's monologue for sure is my tops, I think, of the episode.
It's really good. It is so random to me, but it is very good. I like that they had the Christmas sweaters. They already had that stuff made for whatever reason for when it gets cold outside and they need to like huddle in front of a fire. And they had all the Christmassy treats. It was subtle throughout the whole. Even there was one moment when Ice King is crying and it's like really sad, and it's on his journal when they're watching his journal through BMOs, but through the VHS tapes, and you see a little screen pop up, and it's just like, remember, this is like a Adventure Time Christmas special.
Yeah, they said that. They said
in case you were forgetting.
I did read into that. They were like, oh, they think that the producers like snuck that in, kind of making fun of like just normal Cartoon Network and normal like TV shows that like usually in a lull in the episode, they would have a banner for advertising like, watch this next Friday, or up next, The Adventures of Gumball. Like, and they would do that specifically in like lulls in episodes. And it's a lull. It literally is just like the camera panned on Jake and Finn's face while they're just hearing Ice King scream in the background. So yeah, I do. The filler in these 2-part episodes is kind of just like the fast forwarding scenes. I'm like, okay, we've done 20 seconds straight of like fast forwarded Ice King. Like we gotta pick this up, move this.
Totally
along.
Agree. Could have skipped through that a little bit there. I mean, I did count how many times he did curls. He did 43 different curls, 43, 44. It's hard to say. But those look like 10-pound weights, so I'm not very impressed with what he's doing.
Yeah, I did. However, I was kind of going through these, and I was like, yes, it would have been a lot to squeeze into just 1 10-minute, like instead of doing a 2-parter. But they did a cool job with doing a lot of kind of callbacks to the old world stuff. So like when they go to the junkyard, there is a truck in a boat in a plane. In the junkyard where Ice King buries the tapes. So they're on a old landline phone, and it has like the phone wire coming out of the treehouse and Ice King. So they are giving this cool reference again, I think, to subtly remind you, hey, there has been this post-apocalyptic world. Yeah,
technology isn't quite back to where it was, or maybe this is where we kind of hit like a standpoint in the advancement of technology, and we haven't gone past it yet because we were all forced to kind of huddle and just survive for a bit.
Yeah, but the VHS tapes, the phones, the junkyard, because it's important to sneak that in subtly, and like you're not thinking about it, because now we've had tons of episodes where we're like, hey, that's buried in the background, and there's trucks in the background. But the end of this episode is so crucial to the story of the show.
Yeah, of course.
Where you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is post-apocalyptic, like 100% post-apocalyptic. So,
well, if you're a little confused, we really hopped into it on this episode. This is the Never Ending Adventure podcast about Adventure Time. Dude, season 3, we're getting toward the end of it, episodes 19 and 20 for the Holly Jolly Secrets, part 1 and 2. And this was great, Ned. I really enjoyed both of these episodes, especially loved the second episode. The first episode, I was struggling the entire time because I'm just like, this is not a Christmas episode. Like, I love a good Christmas special, but it's not. But you have a great point. Like, they don't necessarily celebrate Christmas. Like, they don't have a reason to celebrate Christmas. Why is there a Christmas special unless you're doing kind of like how SpongeBob did, where, they discover like Santa Claus or whatever. Yeah, I can't even remember. It's been so long since I watched the SpongeBob Christmas specials, but that was a subtle way that like creeps like Christmas into the Bikini Bottom world. But this was good. And I would love to just take a moment to talk about the treasure map and the briefcase, because that was the first great comedy moment of this 2-part episode, where Ice King digs, like, I guess, a hole, or really pushes the suitcase into a pile of boogers, and then Vince just like, he played in it for hours. Like, he just sat there playing in boogers for so long.
That's why the booger was invited to Christmas at the end of the episode.
Oh my gosh, I don't know why that didn't even connect with me. That's so good.
In the book, it was just a booger on the floor in a little miniature sweater. It was like,
that's so good. Well, the treasure map was so funny because in my mind, I'm like, Jake, you are taking a chance, dude. Like, there's a real chance that this briefcase that you found a long time ago, and then you dug a massive hole and put it at the bottom of this massive hole. Like, one, good job on remembering where you dug that hole in the first place.
It's
but
Jake's
then, like,
dogism,
what if nothing
for
was
sure.
there? What if nothing was in the briefcase? Like, you made this whole like treasure hunt, like treasure map thing adventure for you and Finn, and then what if this briefcase sucked? Like, it's old socks.
I love though. It's we talk about Jake isms and Jake mistakes. Lay it on me, or not lay it on me. It's making bacon pancakes.
Making bacon pancakes. Yeah.
There's no Jake mistakes in this 2 episodes, I think, in my opinion, because this is more of a Jake dogism. It's like, oh, I found it and I buried it, and it's like, yeah, it's just like a dog burying a bone to protect it. It doesn't matter if it has any purpose. It doesn't. But Jake then makes a treasure map, and it's fun. I think that's Jake's dogism coming out that we've always talked about, and then Jake loving Finn and giving Finn adventures, so he makes a treasure map just in case Finn ever wants to find the treasure.
Yeah, and totally the true Jake mistake of this episode would be making the flyers for the secret screening.
Yeah. No, I would say it's misspelling BMO's name. He spells BMO BEEMO.
I think he's done that before in the show. I'm pretty sure I've seen it spelled that way somewhere else for some reason.
I just thought it was funny.
You don't think it's him making a bunch of secret flyers for? No one would have known. That's the mistake,
it's true,
dude.
It's true.
Ice King would have had no idea what was going on. I just thought he's just sitting there in the park, like trying to hit an apple, like freeze an apple off of Gunter's head, and just leaves him. He just walks away, and Gunter's just frozen. And Ice King's just like, oh, more important things.
One of the penguins is frozen. I never.
I think it was Gunter. You don't think it's Gunter? It may not
be. There is like truly one true Gunter, and Gunth. Well, and then there's another episode later on. I can't even remember if we got it. It's like he's like Gunti, Gontho, Gunthi, Gunter.
We've either gotten there. You made that reference before.
But
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but still, yeah, no, my Jake mistake would be misspelling BMO, because BMO's name is literally on the side of BMO. So it's like, I don't know where you're getting this spelling from.
Yeah, definitely. Man, I mean, even I'm thinking about how this is sort of not even a Christmas episode. In part 2, they come back in and you're thinking Jake's yelling because Ice King is freezing over the treehouse and is attacking them essentially, but instead he's like trying to remember the words to Alouette, which is a popular French children's song. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why did they choose that? Why didn't they do a jingle or something?
It was to keep
that melody is not a Christmas jingle. That melody to me is the little bunny frou frou hopping through the floor, that thing. Yeah. So I don't know.
No, I think they just did it. Just that little cutscene again to do something, because they're used to cutting the episodes into 2 parts for a 30-minute segment. Yeah. So if they're doing a 2-parter that is technically like one big episode, doing something before commercial break to like leave you on the edge of your seat, just a little bit,
Yeah. Did you have what's a big comedy moment for you in this episode? Was there anything that stood out to you that just made you giggle a little bit more than it usually does?
We can have my babies right now and get into my lovely of the episode is BMO.
BMO. All right.
And
yeah.
I know BMO gets my lovely a lot, but it's just like there's 3 or 4 BMO moments. The first one is like, these are old VHS tapes. And BMO's like, yeah, I can play them. Put them in my butt.
Yeah.
that moment. BMO's
the Finn's bath alarm.
Finn's bath alarm is there. Like, Finn, it's your bath time. Get naked.
Yeah.
I love that one.
That's just, why do they use BMO and it's a car alarm too. Why do they use him as an alarm for, all right, time for Finn to take a bath? It seems a little silly, but
yeah, there was, I think it's maybe a callback to season 1 where Finn mentions, he's like, I never take baths. And so I think it's funny that they have this crazy alarm on BMO to give Finn a bath. And he still somehow avoids it. He still doesn't end up taking a bath. So I think that's kind of probably a callback to like Jake or Finn never bathes. So maybe like Jake's been sneaking around. BMO thinks Finn stinks too much, so has this massive alarm for Finn's
maybe
bath
like
time.
Once a month. It's like, Finn, it's your bath time. You have to do it. This annoying car alarm's going off. Come on, dude.
Yeah, I remember how much I stank when I went through puberty and didn't clean myself properly.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure we all did. Yeah,
But I had
and
on your lovely note though, because BMO gets my lovely for all the moments when he turns down the volume, when he squeezes out the tape, it pops it out like a little turd. It just overall, like BMO got the lovely, but when I didn't know who your lovely was.
Whew, man, you want to get into my lovely already?
Already,
it's a big one.
Is it Ice King?
It's not Ice King. It's the Simon character. I'm not really sure who this guy is. Simon Petrikov. He's my lovely.
Good.
And he might be lovely. Ice King. He could be Ice King. I'm not really sure. Just kidding. It's obviously Ice King. I know. I'm messing.
Did you not finish the episode when he turns into Ice King?
I was like, oh, Simon Petrikov, you're awesome. Turn the show off. No, yeah, he's my lovely. I mean, what a story, dude. I wasn't really thinking we're going to get into this early, but we might as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
story is so fascinating. Yeah, I mean, gosh, dude, it just, like, it really got me. And it made me want, like, I was talking to Allie, I'm like, I could watch the last 5 minutes of the second episode over and over again. And I really think I would get something new out of it every single time I watched it. You know, I mean, we see him in that first, it's the last tape. They've gone through all the other tapes, and it's just like, basically, I mean, really, we're kind of skipping all the great parts of like Ice King without his crown on, and he's talking to his diary, which I guess he has 2 diaries because he also had the diary in the Ninja episode.
It is the written one.
And, you know, we see him without the crown, and he's trying to say, I don't have the crown on. I think Gunter's like interrupting him a little bit. And then what is it that he starts to say? I'm trying to find it in my notes. Oh, he says, he sighs and he goes, there must be more to this life than this. You know, there must be more to life than this. And Gunter's just, wah, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah, he says, I feel like I'm on that hamster wheel, and I'm constantly running forward.
I'm starting to worry that all these entries sound exactly the same. And that's right after he tells the story of the Turtle Princess and how she ended up taking his library card away for whatever reason. I can't remember.
Because you realize that Turtle Princess runs like the library essentially.
Yeah.
So, but no, that is a big point with the diary entries specifically. Is that first one when they pop the first tape in, he has his crown off and he's laying on the bed, and he seems to be a little bit deeper than the other parts of the videos where he's working out and he's penguin dancing and doing all this stuff. And one moment in that first tape, he sees, I bet you noticed that I'm not wearing and then Gunter cuts him off.
Yeah, interrupts him.
So he is not wearing the crown in that first video. And that first video ends with like, I know you hate it when I get contemplative. So I think even going back
Gunter is wearing the crown. That's something that's fascinating to me.
We've confirmed, though, and Adam Muto's confirmed, and we've confirmed that the crown has found a host. So
that's right. Okay.
I think the crown will give people ice powers, but it won't necessarily latch into their like psyche or anything like that.
Yeah. We were wondering as me and Allie watched this episode, though, that perhaps Gunter, or maybe part of the reason why he, theoretically speaking, the reason that he hangs out with Ice King is to get closer to the crown because he wants the crown for himself. If he's really such an evil character, I'm not necessarily sure. I mean, is there something later in this show that we see? Surely Gunter's true form or something comes out eventually, right?
It does. It does. But it's not necessarily tied to the crown. But that's a good thought that the Gunter is inherently, and they actually go into the original Gunter story with the Evergreen episode. And it was semi about even the first Gunter, like kind of being attracted to the power of the crown. Different kind of story, but that's a good, theoretically speaking, that Gunter sticks around because it's kind of like being attracted to like a source of power.
Yeah. And even Ice King, when he was crying and they were trying to get the secret code that was in the diary with his tears, was Gunter, you know, like the tears and whatever BMO did to formulate. It's like every time M comes up or something,
and there's also a good thought behind that. Like one, for my fans out there, like the crown holds a lot of like data and memories essentially. So the Evergreen episode, you can see why Gunter would be, even with its secret encoding, like tied in with the crown, that like even subconsciously there's a code coming out in Ice King's tears that can actually print a Gunter figure. So it's Gunter, and that essence is inherently like coded into the crown.
Mm-hmm.
So and then also it's everywhere that starts with an M. And in a later episode, you'll see that Ice King, I think, accidentally calls Marceline Gunter, because Marceline's name starts with an M. And so it kind of also ties back to this one. So like really cool, sneaky little, maybe on purpose, maybe accidentally, but
things to keep in mind, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot of things to keep in mind as we go now. And I can say it without it being a spoiler drop. It could say Simon Petrikov, and now it's officially not a spoiler. I feel like this is the first big moment in our journey through this, in our adventure, that I can start saying Simon Petrikov stuff without it being a spoiler. And you already kind of knew Ice King was,
of course,
a big character.
We hear Simon. We've heard Simon's name in the past, or we've talked about it. I mean, let's just kind of go through who Simon Petrikov is based off of these films.
Let's get into that.
This one tape.
Yeah, let's get into that once we take a little breather, because we got a lot to unpack with
I don't want to.
You got to take a Christmas break. We got to turn this into a two-parter.
This isn't a Christmas episode. This is a Nightmare Before Halloween episode.
Yeah, we do get to
a Christmas Before Halloween episode.
I wish it was colder outside. I wish we had a little fire going.
Yeah, and also new intro. Adventure Time, what the heck? This is a freaking Christmas special.
Man, I thought we were going to have a cool intro, and I was a little bummed out. That's the Jake mistake in this episode. So there wasn't a fun
writer
intro.
Mistake for sure. I'm agreeing with that.
Let's breathe. Let's go pee before we pick up and go deep into Simon Petrikov. That was a much needed break.
Yep, I'm back.
Well, as we're on the Christmas topic here and talking about Christmas vibes and how this wasn't really a Christmas episode, but it was, I was going to ask, like, what is your go-to like Christmas vibe? Once we get around to holiday season, I feel like there's several things on my end that it's like, here's what we do and here's what I'm looking forward to the most that makes it like the holiday season for me, you know?
Yeah, of course.
What's like your family or your personal like Christmas-ism? Like, it's not the holiday season until Russell does XYZ.
It would probably be a Charlie Brown Christmas album.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's got to be it. Yeah, the album, the Vince, I can't pronounce his last name. The Vince Guaraldi trio. It's amazing. Anyways, it's the soundtrack for the Christmas special from the Peanuts, and it's so good. You know, I think for me, I gotta listen to that album whenever Christmas time rolls around, and I do it every year without fail. At least I think I'd probably listen to that album 3 or 4 times throughout the month of December.
Mm-hmm. But that's like your Christmas. That's like gets you in the spirit. It's not Christmas until that's been played 6 times.
It's such a good album.
You and my father-in-law are peas in a pod on that one, because when we go to their house at Christmas, that Linus and Lucy, it's just the Charlie Brown theme song, actually. The like boom doom 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 doom. It plays in their house probably once an hour. And I love it.
Man,
it's a good song.
It's so good.
It gets, after like the 16th time in 2 days, like you're a little like, it gets a little wearing on you.
Oh, Tenenbaum, What Child Is This? My Little Drum, Linus and Lucy. That's probably what you're thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
The Christmas Time Is Here, both the instrumental and the vocal. Like, it's so good, dude. That's really what it is for me. And I'm very much of the mindset of you don't listen to or do anything Christmas related until after Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving.
You're a big non-Christmas tree up before Thanksgiving. Yeah, I'm the same way.
For sure. So annoying when, for me, you know, like I've had roommates in the past, like start putting Christmas stuff up, and I'm just like, why are you, like, it's like early November. Like, why are you doing this? Like, you know, we got to talk about this. We all live in this house. I don't know. So that's just how I am. What's your thing? What gets you in the Christmassy mood?
Oh, we grew up going down and cutting down a Christmas tree and like putting it in the house, like picking one out.
Cutting down?
Yeah, there was a big old Christmas tree farm out like in South Carolina that we would go to. So like coming home, we would always, it was the Saturday after Thanksgiving. It was always when the UGA Georgia Tech football game is on. So it was, and then my mom has this very specific way of stringing lights on a tree. It takes like hours to do it.
Oh gosh.
And the tree looks awesome when it's all said and done, but it's kind of Christmas when that's all over. But we sit and watch football. We cut the tree down, bring it home, do the lights for hours, and then decorate it. And then that's kind of like, so I'd say like always that's like the big thing for like the Christmas season for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good. I think, it's neat that you have that memory of doing it with family is what, sparks the Christmas spirit. And I'm sure the Charlie Brown album has something to do with like my mom putting on the special on TV or something as a little kid. I'm not really sure, but that's
it's when like life quiets down a little bit and you hunker down in the home and it's like all the smells and the sounds and the Christmas specials start coming on TV. So it's a combination of all those aspects. But man, the tree, having a real tree in your house also just pumps the smell of pine through everything. So it truly like the house feels different because it smells like a forest in there.
Yeah, definitely. I know I'm looking forward to getting into the Christmas specials and all that. Last year we watched the original Grinch special and it was like snowing outside. I'm like, this is so good. Like, this is a great moment because it is hard to recreate Christmas away from home. Like Christmas now really feels like Christmas, even though in Georgia it never snows on Christmas Day. Like that would be such a miracle. But it doesn't really feel like, oh, we are in Christmas time until the week that I'm home for Christmas and the tree's up at my mom's house or at my dad's house or whatever. Like that is what really feels like Christmas now. So it is hard to recreate that in Nashville. But there are moments in December that I'm like, okay, it's Christmas time. Like we're watching Elf or whatever. And also I was going to say through Elf, cutting down a Christmas tree is a felony, Ned. So I hope this was something that y'all had permission to do. It is a
Christmas tree. Yeah, plug Wright's Christmas Tree Farm in South Carolina. So it is legal. It is legal. So
yeah, a little plug. We've got a couple of listeners in South Carolina. I was looking at the demographics. I think North and South Dakota are like the two where no one listens to us there.
I don't think there's anybody there. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, it's still 1997 in North Dakota, so maybe they'll get around to this in a few years.
Oh gosh, thinking of Christmas specials though, you got a little like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer reference in this episode with the snowman. That was such a cute moment and funny. Yeah, it gets an apple on his nose and Ice King's just like, you're so unique. I'll make you the leader of the pack.
No, I would say Red Nose the Snowman is my runner-up lovely of the episode with his little face. Yeah. Maybe the snowmen collectively. I love when they open the ice box and they're all like pointing, baffled over the ice, like being made in a freezer and being made inside. They're like, whoa. And I was like, that's hilarious.
Not only that, but Ice King made each one of these snowman army soldiers by hand and didn't even animate them. He's got the powers to just make a snow army, but instead he's like, that feels good. Like makes a snowman, moves on, makes like 20 of them.
I do think it was maybe purposefully done through parts 1 and 2 of this special. Getting back into our Simon Petrikov conversation is that there's tons of little things that the Ice King's doing. Shooting Gunter in the head with an apple on his head, bringing a skunk as a present, multiple instances of him capturing princesses without even the intention of like marrying them like it used to be. He captures Wildberry Princess to interview her, like with the state of the economy or whatever. And I think the kind of like driving it home was building the snowmen, not animating them and being like, oh yeah, I have ice powers. It's all showing how insane the Ice King is. Even with these great powers, he's not just evil. It's truly just like insanity. And I think that's an important thing that the writers added to this episode in order to lead into this bomb drop that Simon Petrikov was a straight up like, well, what was he called? Not a scientist, agua or something.
Antiquarian, which was he studies ancient artifacts, which is such an interesting. Yeah, I would love to get into who Simon was. I mean, he was a human, right? He was a human who was engaged to a lovely lady named Betty, and he wore John Lennon glasses. And it was a long time ago, probably before the Mushroom War. I mean, most definitely, right? Before the Mushroom War.
Yeah, definitely before the Mushroom War.
I noticed the plane in the background when he's talking looked a little bit like, I think it's when he's starting to turn blue, looks a little like a warplane. So perhaps it was right at the beginning, like him going insane and surviving the Mushroom War may all kind of like wrap up in a week or something, you know?
It's a good thing to bring up because I think it was technically an error, but it's actually an error that makes things consistent through the show. Is that as he's doing those like snippets of interviews, you see it's the same background. The last interview is just like a blank brick wall behind him, which is meaning he's not in like the same office or whatever. And without spoiling, there's like, pretty much Mushroom War stuff happens at that point. And he's still, a blue guy with a beard at that point.
He's starting to turn blue. And as he's doing that, it starts to snow outside and it starts to blizzard outside. And I wonder if like he was discovering those powers. He was telling him, or he told us that the snow and he was learning the secrets of the snow and ice, like he was discovering all these things through the crown. He was getting lost. He's begging for forgiveness for the future, he's afraid of things that he might do. And then as you've kind of told us, and we've talked about it in the past, he feels like he's stuck in a labyrinth. He's stuck in a labyrinth within his mind, and he can't get out.
It's a very purposefully chosen phrase that he's stuck in a labyrinth.
Oof, it's good. But the whole Betty thing, man, like that was tough to hear. That was tough to listen about, or like to think about, and really like try and empathize with Ice King or Simon. And he's just a smart guy who's studying. He even says he never believed in the supernatural, but he was fascinated with superstition, or I may have that backwards, but he bought the crown in Scandinavia. What was it? Northern Scandinavia from
Scandinavia.
A dock worker, like an old dock worker. And he puts it on as a joke in front of Betty, starts to see illusions, and he starts to argue with them and realizing that it's the crown, takes it off. And it was also wizard eyes, right? That's what he was dealing with in that moment was the wizard eyes from Mortal Recoil. And Betty left, and he notes that she was looking at him with such contempt. And that phrasing too is, gosh, that kind of gives me chills a little bit. Like, could you imagine, dude? Like, he doesn't even remember what he said, doesn't remember what he did. He took the crown off, and she's just like blank staring at him with like contempt.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, the Betty part is very, 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 very important for the entire show. Like going all the way up into the series finale. Like this is the first instance of Betty, and that whole storyline is so important to the end of the show here.
I was going to say, it really feels like it's the only thing he holds on to right then.
Well,
like,
it's the
as
only
Ice
thing he's
King,
holding on to. Because he's crying in that moment. Obviously he's like, I'm crying because you now know I wore glasses. There is something deep inside him. I think him watching that, the Simon that's left in him, the Simon that can still basically look out of the glass of the Ice King's eyes and see the world, but can't like vocalize anything, is crying over the loss of Betty. And I think it's important now that you understand that. Now I don't have to drop it as a spoiler that there was a love interest. Is like, why do you think he's obsessed with capturing princesses?
He lost his.
Yeah, he lost his, and that's now this subconscious thing is that his being and nature as the Ice King is to be hunting down the relationship that he lost.
Yeah, that's so fascinating with the secrets from. He's like, the secret that I used to wear glasses. Truly, it's like the Fiona and Cake episode, where he's writing his innermost secrets. He's trying to reveal things to the viewer or to the person like reading the journal, right? Or the fan fiction. There's so much more depth to it, to his crying. He's trying to brush it off, the weight of the trauma from his past. And he's trying to just be like, oh no, it's just the glasses. That's why I'm upset. I didn't want you to find out that I used to wear glasses. It's all just part of him trying to avoid his past, or as you're saying, maybe internally trying to get back to his real self and connected to his real self, Simon. is crying, is upset, and that's where that stuff is coming out. And within the craziness that is Ice King.
Yeah, that's definitely it. Like, you pretty much hit the hammer on the head right there. Like, that is, they aren't saying it now, but that's for sure what's happening. Is that I'm trying to think of how to phrase this to where it's a good like aha moment for you without with the labyrinth, the crown, Simon still being in there somewhere, and you put all those puzzle pieces together, and you can kind of see where we're going, you know?
Well, I'm putting these puzzle pieces together, but is Finn? That's what I want to know. Like, does Finn now know he's a human? Because they said, Ice King, but it was when the crown was out, right? Mm-hmm. When they saw the crown. Does Finn and Jake, do they realize, wait a second, this Simon is Ice King, and he was a human, and I'm going to be just as interested in him as I was with Susan Strong because it's another human. Finally, I've met another human. We need to get him back to how he was. Can Finn help him? You know, will he try to help him? Does Finn connect those dots?
From this moment on, you do see, because they bring Ice King in, they give him the tapes back. I think the big sympathy moment is when Finn hands him the tapes, and he's just like, these are yours. And I think that's the first time Finn sees the Ice King as Simon through his eyes. And that's very important. It's not always consistent. Like, really, Jake and Finn constantly get annoyed by Ice King, but they're never doing, like, the start of this episode, it was like, let's go find Ice King's evil secret. The what would you call it, default position on Finn and Jake has been Ice King is evil. So he's got evil secrets. He's going to do something bad. I think this is definitely the first time where, they're annoyed by him, but they're not going to, like, they don't, ever actively super try to help him out. But I think this is the first moment where they stop looking at Ice King as the antagonist themselves. Like, we've seen it a lot, and we've already deemed the Ice King as not really an antagonist. But I think this is the turning point for Finn and Jake of saying, please don't get in our way. We get annoyed by you, but we're not going to continually think you've got some sort of evil mastermind plan behind everything.
And I think, as Shelby put it, they had empathy for Ice King, the biggest weirdo in Ooh. You know, like that's the biggest weirdo in Ooh to me, is not describing him as the bad guy, the villain, the evil person in Ooh. It's the most complex, weird, awkward, annoying character that, shouldn't be that way, or maybe isn't really that way, but the crown has made him that way. And they give him the tapes back as like you said, as a gift. It's great. It was a great moment.
Yeah. Well, and you see, like, once they open that empathy, and he comes and he's way more chill. Like, he does sit in the house and watch the movies with them, and is just like a normal guy for, even if it's for 10 something odd minutes or whatever. Every time they offer up a little bit more empathy for him and express it outwardly, he normalizes out a little bit and levels out his weirdness a little bit. And that's like my deep thought of the episode as it pertains to life, is that, like, there's a lot of weird people out there. I'm a weird person, and the big thing,
that's pretty, he's pretty odd.
Maybe we Russell can vouch for that. He can vouch for that firsthand.
No, I'm the weird person. When we were starting to talk at the beginning of, like, before we started recording, I'm sitting here singing the Ned. Sometimes I sit and think about Ned. Just singing an ABBA parody to him about him.
Maybe the more you watch Adventure Time, the more
the biggest weirdo.
Singing songs becomes part of your normal life.
Oh, I'm definitely the biggest weirdo of this podcast, and that's totally fine with me.
But my big life lesson, in my lesson of the episode, we aren't wrapping things up per se, but it pertains to just like that topic of the empathy, is that there's going to be a lot of weird, and like, you don't have to be best friend with somebody who's like so weird, or like, but the moment you take a second and be like, why, like, what's this weirdness? Like, what drove you to this, being the way you are, and fully getting the full scope is, like, they're still going to be weird. Ice King's still just weird, but it creates a whole new relationship dynamic between Ice King and everybody, and Princess Bubblegum and with Marceline, is that they understand the past now, and they understand where he's coming from. And it opens up a lot more opportunity for relationship, even if they're like, hey, dude, like, you're still being annoying Ice King, hold you at arm's distance, but we're not going to like hit you in the face anymore.
Oh, I'm so excited to see how they all react and act toward Ice King. We've already seen a little bit of Princess Bubblegum treating Ice King as a human in the past. There's been little moments where I feel like she's been kind of overly kind to him, or when she needed his help, because everybody's, gosh, that episode was so long ago. Everybody was getting frozen in the Candy Kingdom or something like that.
Yeah, when he was scratching his like icy dandruff sickness over everybody.
And she needed his help, you know?
Yeah.
But what was so fascinating is that Ice King, in that moment when he got the tapes back, it's like his mind went blank. It's like he forgot everything that it had just happened a moment ago. And really, in my mind, I'm thinking the Crown is fighting back. This is the Crown trying to block out everything that just happened, trying to block out the progress that just occurred, and is fighting to keep him locked in the labyrinth. Yeah. Is kind of how I felt about the fact that he was just like, oh, it's so nice of you. They give me tapes. You know, I don't know anything about these tapes. Here's a skunk, which is crazy. Why? Yeah. That's not a gift.
He says, I don't know anything about the tapes. He just watched them. He just busted into the house because they were like, these are my tapes. And it's the Crown again, immediately going, hey, something about Simon is now trying to break out because of these tapes. So we're just going to like white it out.
Yeah, I think so. Dude, and the tapes make him act so crazy. And the moment for me, I think the craziest moment in this episode, other than the boogers, but him playing in the boogers for hours is hilarious. The wild berry in the cage moment where he's like, I do love the fact that he turned the camera upside down and they said upside down princess. That was funny. Yeah. But I just putting myself in the place of Wildberry, how terrifying would it be if your kidnapper is sitting there and acting like, oh, this is a newscast and like you just witnessed it like a tragedy. It's like, dude, I'm in a tragedy right now. Like
I am
you kidnapped me. It's like Gunther's in the corner because he tried to eat Ice King's socks. It's like that's the moment when Ice King murders Wildberry. You know, like that's the moment where you die. And we thought of the Batman movie when the Riddler was like basically filming his victims live and killing them. It's that's the terrifying, creepy, weird moment that Ice King had this episode. And fortunately, that wasn't the entire episode. The other creepy, weird thing was him singing Fries, which honestly, to me, was a hilarious moment. Yeah. He's just singing Marceline's song with the wig on. So he had crazy funny, and then he had crazy creepy, what is going on? Are you going to murder Wildberry Princess?
Yeah,
this episode.
I love, and for my fans out there, that Ice King somehow knows the "Why'd You Eat My Fries" song, and that in theory, Marceline just like riffed that off the top of her mind. Finn recorded it and had it on his little tape. So multiple things could be apparent here. Is that Ice King was either spying on them in the Nightosphere episode, or Marceline has shared that song with him personally, which I think that's my theoretically speaking is that, and it does prove itself later, is that him and Marcy have a connection that we won't go into today.
But does that fit the timeline of their connection?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. But I thought he was, my understanding from spoilers or whatever is that he and her are together when she's little, right? But the Fries thing happened when she was like an adult, right?
Yeah.
No, I can't remember. Does she walk into the store? It's after the Mushroom War for sure.
It's a shared connection, but like, so you're piecing together two different things that I'm not.
Okay.
It's the sense that like even through his insanity, that like Marcy already does have this behind closed doors, not relationship, but like, you know, they have always been friends and
they've bonded in the past.
Yeah. And Ice King constantly forgets it essentially. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's very, I want to talk about it so bad this episode, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for like when the juicy moments
love Marcy.
come out.
Marcy was great. She wasn't my sexy character of the episode because that would be silly.
My sexy character of the episode was the other guy.
The other guy? Oh, mine's that guy. Mine's that guy.
Yeah. So mine's the other guy, but yours is that
guy. Yeah, that's fair. I think so. They were definitely pretty sexy. I Want to Have Your Baby is the soundbite for that one.
Oh man,
that's
but
so funny.
overall, like Christmas special aside, because everything, like, how does this? Do you like the way this squeezes into season
Christmas
3?
special aside.
Like, yeah, like, but I guess the bomb drop on Simon now being like part of the Adventure Time canon and Ice King's Past. Do you like where this fits into season 3? Do you think it's too late in the show? Do you think they should have introduced this earlier? Like, how do you feel about the canon build so far?
Yeah, I'll do even part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is a 2.5 out of 5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing really Christmassy about it. It's so random. It's just building up to what happens in part 2. Part 2 is really the big payoff, and they could have really made this one episode. Maybe they would have needed 15 minutes or something like that. A little bit more than 11.
Tight squeeze.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, a lot of what's great about this episode or these episodes is part 2 when you get into the more serious stuff. And I really loved the Simon moment. I really do feel like, I mean, I watched it 4 or 5 times at least. I plan on watching it again before I move on to the next episode because it just feels so good. Everything about it, the way the voice actor is delivering those lines, the way each time you see him a little bit more blue, like a longer beard, pointier nose, whiter hair. He's slightly sounding more and more like Ice King. It was an incredible moment for the voice acting.
Tom Kenny even being able to differentiate like Ice King phase 1, Ice King phase 2.
So subtle.
Splitting the voice out like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Amazing. So I loved all of that so much. And then, as you said, the Shelby narrative moment is weird and is random and is Christmassy. But it is really sweet. And it is like, I love the idea of these characters hanging out, getting together, like doing what we love to do with people that we love around whatever holiday it is that you celebrate, Christmas, whatever, I mean, it's like, there's something really special about that. And all the memories that I know you have and I have of visiting family up in North Carolina, and there's just so much, there's something really special about that time of year. And that moment, for whatever reason, does a good job of kind of like summing that up, sort of. It's a little cheesy, but I like it. It's good.
Yeah, just imagine Russell watching this episode being frustrated and impatient and tight butthole. And then as soon as the Simon scene comes on, he melts like a dang puddle for the rest of the episode.
I was just like, if they didn't do the Simon thing, I think I would have just been like, this was such a silly like waste of a Christmas episode.
Which is why I think they did it. And I was thinking after this episode, I was like, well, we've done like canon, drops. I mean, the biggest one was like Mortal Folly and Mortal Recoil that we all of a sudden we do stop and we're like, oh crap, like things are getting serious. Like this is no longer fun and funny. This is like serious world building. And they almost do such a good job of getting you on the edge of your seat and frustrated and like kind of this is dragging and this is just another funny little Adventure Time episode, and then just dropping a hard canon drop that you kind of stop and everything else gets quiet and you're like super hyper focused. I thought it just very interesting that they were like, yeah, we're going to drop like the biggest character bomb we've done in 3 seasons all in on the end of our Christmas special.
Yeah. I'm giving part 2. So part 1, 2.5 out of 5. Part 2 is a 4 to like a hard 4, soft 4.5 for me. It is a really solid episode. So I really enjoyed part 2.
Yeah, it was good. It probably, it'll hold like one of the best like moments of the season. But it probably won't make a top 5 for best episodes of the season because it has to be like collectively front to back.
It can't, not just that one moment. Yeah, I agree. I mean, as I'm saying, soft 4.5. I think that moment just won it over for me. But I think when we go back for the season 3 review and I'm watching through all the episodes, we've had so many good episodes this season already. I can't imagine it being in the top 5. Maybe number 6. It might be 6 or 7. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We can do I think we'll do top 5s and then do some runner-ups, some honorable mentions. And we could even just take that moment, the Simon Petrikov moment as an honorable mention
top moment of the season for sure up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Oh man, well I'm out for it being 80 degrees outside. I'm about Christmased out over here.
I know, man. We went shopping today for, some stuff at Home Goods, and they already have their Christmas time like decorations out.
Gosh, are you
That's what I'm saying, dude.
serious?
They're skipping Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving
is the most thankful time of the
we
year.
still have spooky season things to buy. We still
I
have to
know.
go put out.
I know. It kills me, man. I'm like, I love Thanksgiving because it's the most thankful time of the year. And then I love October. I mean, I'm going to do Stashtober. You doing Stashtober this year?
I'm already doing like sober October, so that might be the capacity which I could operate in.
Too many things. You're 75 still going all through October. Yeah.
Oh yeah, going all through up until the 29th, and then we're gonna have a party.
Nice. That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
well,
man. But
what are your lessons for this episode? What do you got for me?
Oh man, first lesson is Christmas food is delicious because their spread, like it's fake cartoon food, but gosh darn, like their whole spread, the whole episode just made me so hungry.
That's good.
So yeah, don't sleep on
especially
the Christmas
with the table that Ice King just dumps everything off of, so he can sort of look like Santa Claus, but sort of not look like Santa Claus.
Yeah, I've never had a ham with pineapple and like cherry like pinned into it, but every time it shows up in any cartoon show, I'm like, I want ham with pineapple and cherry pinned on it because it just looks so delicious. That's my lesson. And then as I kind of stated earlier, we stated it and thank you. It's like people's backstory is so deep that perspective and gaining that perspective is so important when building relationship, when interacting with people. It's like you can't have an interaction with somebody that's true and honest unless you understand where they're coming from. Yeah. And this is, it finally it happens. We've talked about it with Ice King so much, and like we see the true, like not just like
there's more, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's lots more.
I want a lot more, and I really do want to see. I'm hoping by the end of the series he is Simon again. I don't know if that'll happen, but I would love for him to escape the labyrinth. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, my lesson is Ice King is complicated, and I might need to show him a little bit more empathy. It's my lesson. It's a personal thought, really.
I want you to go back and watch episode 2 now, because I stated when we first started the podcast, it's like, oh, just wait, don't sleep on Ice King. And you were like, I hate this character. He's so freaking annoying. Oh my God. And now even go back and watch all of season 1, or maybe just Ice King episodes of season 1. For those of you out there that are doing the show, the same progression as Russell, that's where the fun parts come in, is you start knowing this and then going back to the old episodes and being like, that makes a little more sense now,
You're talking about episode 3, Prisoners of Love, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I do need to revisit that. I think, honestly, before we do the wrap-up of season 3, and maybe even before we progress too much further into season 3, I might go back and rewatch seasons 1 and 2 as a refresher.
That's how I fell in love with the show, was going through it and then going back and rewatching episodes. And
I kind of want to just binge it.
Yeah, and I think that's why the show honestly is a lot more fun when it's binged. Like, because there's so many episodes per season that like the rate we're going at, it does feel like season 3's drawing out, but you can knock out 6 episodes in an hour. Like, and it's really fun that way. I think it makes you watch with a different lens, not a podcast lens on, but a enjoyment of the show lens. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I love that. Well, Ned, do you have any recs for us this week?
Ooh, well, I might have a rec for you later tonight, but we're going to go see Don't Worry, Darling, the new Olivia Wilde movie with Florence Pugh and Chris Pine and everything. So
you'll have to let me know.
Yeah, hopefully that's my recommendation is go to the movies. I love going to the movies. Like it's such a great experience.
Wow.
Who freaking knows if we're even going to have it forever? So go actually
so weird.
Buy the tickets, go to the movie. Yeah.
I've had so many people, actually yesterday, I had like an hour-long conversation about scary movies and movies people have been watching in theaters. And in my mind, I'm like, who goes to the theaters anymore? But clearly, like, I need to, because people are still doing it. And
it just gets you.
It's so magical sometimes doing that.
Yeah, it's magical because, like, for me, like walking in, smelling the popcorn, standing in line, getting in your seat and it's nostalgic for me because I did that so much growing up with friends and with my family. And now it's going to be lost on a generation of it being like, oh yeah, like we'll go to see a really big movie, but we don't go to the movies because it's fun. We just want to go see something on the big screen. I'm like, no, I'd go see the crappiest movie ever at the theaters. It's an effort to get over there, but I'm kind of like, as I could go see anything and be like, that was great because I got the full just experience with the popcorn and now, everything.
Of course. I know I regret not going and seeing the Maverick movie in theaters. Maybe it's still showing somewhere.
They're about to do a theater release of Avatar again because James Cameron was like,
new one, right?
He was like, we built it to be watched on a IMAX screen. So go back, like it'd be like once they do Avatar 2, it's like go back, re-experience why Avatar was so good, which is on a dang IMAX screen.
I remember loving that movie. I've seen it once. I haven't rewatched Avatar because you definitely get it. Like after you've seen it one time, you're like, okay, I understand the plot of this.
Yeah,
like, we've done this before.
Forget. I like same thing. I've seen it maybe 2-3 times, but you forget about the visual aspect that it's an absolutely gorgeous movie. With a relatively lame story, but again, I don't think it was made to be an incredible story. It was made to be like the most dramatic, cinematic shot film ever.
Cool. Well, it's so funny too because all of the CGI got so advanced right after that came out. Or like right as that came out. They spent so much time making that movie. They probably could have made it so much quicker nowadays. But,
they've been spending a lot of time on this new one coming out too, because I think every time they do something that makes it look cleaner, a new technology comes out and they're like, okay, let's go back and re-edit everything again with this new tech. Take a year to do it, and guess what? Another new technology rolls out.
You just gotta let it out. Yeah,
and that's actually what happened with the first one. It took 4 or 5 years in like post
I
production.
think it was longer. I think it was like 10 years.
Yeah,
post production. Okay,
yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, it is like the highest grossing film of all time. So, my lesson. No, we already did that. My rec. Sorry. Is actually a film that I didn't go see in theaters, and I kind of regret it because I've been getting really into watching and learning about climbing. I'm not a climber by any means, but my friends in college did. Like they went bouldering all the time at the UGA gym. So I've been really into it. I've been like catching up on Adam Ondra and then Alex Honnold and all this stuff. And I'm so curious what people think about Alex Honnold because on one hand he's the free solo guy. My rec is free solo.
We watched Free Solo. It's
did?
insane. Yeah,
dude. Watching these free solo clips of him, like I literally get sweaty. My hands and my feet get like damp from what I get so nervous. I'm afraid of heights. Big surprise. I think right?
It's I just listened to a Joe Rogan recently. They were talking about the free solo guy and it being like it's almost hard to watch because one is nerve wracking and two, it's hard to watch someone be in that kind of situation and they're not panicking. And like you're almost like panicking on behalf of like on proxy through him,
Well, they talk about the holds that he gets, and it's like, oh, there's like two quarters, like the tips of quarters worth of a hold. It's insane what those guys are capable of and what he does. 500 feet up in the air. It's dumb. That's why I'm so curious what the climbing community thinks of Alex Honnold, because I'm on one or free soloist because on one hand, they are a part of the community and he's famous. He's the most famous climber out there because of free solo. But at the same time, it's a little reckless and it kind of gives climbing like, I don't know, a little bit of a bad name in some ways.
Because part of the culture isn't part of the culture. It's all about safety. It's all about belaying your lines correctly. It's all about like, securing everything and not starting till you're for sure safe. And
he's kind of playing with death.
Throws it out the window.
Yeah, it's a little bit of Russian roulette. So I'm curious to dive deeper into this. I got to talk to my climbing buddies now that I have this interest in climbing. Will I get into climbing? Stay tuned. Maybe I will. But free solo, Alex Honnold is my rec. I haven't watched it. I don't know if I can watch it. Because like I said, I get so nervous watching free solo like videos and stuff. I'm much more interested in like Adam Ondra doing the 9C climb or whatever that he did in Norway. That was like the hardest climb that anyone's ever done. But that's more fascinating to me.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you all so much for coming by, listening to us for another week, talk about Adventure Time. We'll be back next Tuesday. Check us out on Instagram at Never Ending Adventure Podcast, TikTok at Never Ending Adventure Cast, Twitter at NEA_podcast. Email us your thoughts, your opinions for Traveler's Log segments. We will talk about your emails that you send us and your thoughts about the episodes. Just give us in the subject, tell us what you're kind of talking about, what episode you're talking about, so that we know, oh, this is a good time to bring this up, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
At NEA, I may have already done it, NEA.travelerslog@gmail.com.
Yeah, best practice is to go into episodes we have already talked about, because Russell has not seen the rest of the show. Yeah. So if you go on a long tangent
about season 9 things or season 8 things.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts on Ice King and Simon, especially from this episode. You can mention stuff that is on future Simon Petrikov, and I will read into it. But just take it with my view as well. That Russell will read these. Don't spoil anything that's really fun for him.
Of course, yeah. But we love the show. This has been so great. I mean, I was thinking about you kind of jokingly said we should get BMO tattoos at the beginning of like the first episode of this podcast.
Yes.
Whether you say that on the podcast or not, you're like, I need to get another Adventure Time tattoo. Like, me and Michael go get like BMO tattoos. Like,
now you're getting sold.
Would be pretty cool. I don't know. I don't have any tattoos. We'll see.
Get a BMO tattoo that just says "Get naked."
Yeah.
Put it in my butt.
That'd be a good one we were talking about at Home Goods, just like, those slogan like things. It's like live, laugh, love, all that stuff. Home is where the heart is. I kind of want signs like that just make no sense. Like things that are just like, isn't life great at sea or some crap like that. That's just like, doesn't make any sense. So like something like that, like in the bathroom, it'd be like Finn get naked or something would be really wonderful. I might look into some neon signs about Adventure Time at some point, but
yeah, I almost bought a stained glass LSP yesterday.
Yeah.
Almost. It was like $50. It's like, I can't do that. But
where was that? Where did you find that?
Duluth Fall Festival.
No,
there was a stained glass. Hey, I got the guy's card, and he said his girlfriend made multiple Adventure Time stained glass pieces. So I was like, I'll get another one for sure.
Definitely, dude. Send me that link. But also the Duluth Fall Festival. Gosh, that's so nostalgic. Talking about things that feel like fall. Like that is such a sign of fall time. Yeah. When you get to go to the Duluth Fall Festival, I'm so jealous of you.
Yeah, it was my first one too. So
wow. And actually my 2 other buddies from growing up, my cycling buddies, they went this past weekend with their wife and then girlfriend. And I was just like, man, I am so jealous. Like y'all and then them going as well. I was just like, I'm missing out on some fall festival action right now. But that's all right. We'll figure out a way to have the holiday here in Nashville.
Next time you're in town, we'll just go to downtown Duluth regardless because it's cool now. So
that sounds great, man. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for coming by. Let's listen again next Tuesday if you can. And we'll be there and party forever.
Love you guys.